So in today's web dev tip, we're going to set up a new SSH key for our user on our DigitalOcean droplet, and we're going to be using this as our deploy key so that we can transfer our files from GitHub to the DigitalOcean server when we're creating our GitHub action. So we're getting near to the point where we can actually deploy our code, but there's one final thing, and that is to create this secret key so that we can authorize GitHub to actually push the code up to our server. So let's crack on and actually go onto the server. I'm going to log on as the rickandroll user. I don't want to be creating any SSH keys under the root user, and I'll just navigate into the special home folder and the .ssh folder that contains any SSH information. So you can see at the moment we've just got this authorized keys file, which if you remember from a few tutorials ago, we actually put in our public key of our SSH key that we created on our local computer to enable this user to log on. But what we're doing now is authorizing GitHub to actually push code to this server. So we're going to create a new private and public key pair, and then we'll give the private key to GitHub this time so that it can actually log on to the server and push this code. In much the same way that our local computer can log on to this server via SSH, and that's where our private key is stored. So it's pretty simple, and we've done this once already before in a tutorial before. So we're just going to say SSH keygen, and it will generate a new private public key pair. I think someone pointed out on one of the previous tutorials as well, where we did this, that there are different encryption methods and better ways that you can do this. So feel free to use a stronger encryption method if you feel that's appropriate. So one thing to say here is you may have set up a password for the SSH key that you're using on your local computer, but we really don't want to do that on this occasion because it's going to be run in the GitHub pipeline. So you won't have the opportunity to put the password in or provide that unless you put that in as another variable into your configuration, which we'll see in the following videos. But it's probably just easiest, especially at the moment, just to leave this empty. So no passcode. And you can see we've generated an RSA key. So if you have a look in the SSH folder, you can see now we've got the ID_RSA and the ID_RSA.pub. So the first one is actually the private key. So if we just log that out to our console here, what we want to do is copy this whole key that's just been generated, maybe put it in a text file somewhere just for the moment, because we're going to be using that in the next steps to configure our GitHub pipeline to use this key to push our code. But that's all you need to do for this tutorial. Just make sure you've got your key ready, and in the next tutorials we'll look at pushing the code in our GitHub action. But that's it for this tutorial. Make sure you stay tuned for more web dev tips.